Okido guys, welcome to today's video, and today's video is gonna be about fear, my good old friend that I always see as a good spirit guide because it always will lead you towards your vision. It's your guide towards your vision. In the past few years of my life, I don't know why, but I always had this internal motive to expand the boundary of my comfort zone. And I always was knowing deep down that fear is not something that we should hate on, but it's something that we should befriend. So in the past few years, I devoted my time to go directly into my fears. They were so diverse, from the tiniest ones, like I had a fear of talking on the phone and general social interactions, ordering food, and all of those weird stuff that a lot of people in this world are comfortable with. Driving a car, pouring in gas, those were my tiny fears a few years ago. And then they started becoming a little bit bigger. So I had a fear of posting my, self-portraits online for the first time. When I first started doing this self-portraits, I was so worried what will people think about those photos. And then opening this YouTube channel, I was worried about what will people think when I start talking on YouTube. And it was uncomfortable to sit in front of the camera and talk. And then there were fears like traveling alone. So I went on the Azores alone for the first time, and I went on all these crazy adventures in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean under a pouring rain, going through the forest, climbing the hills. And then there were some very uncomfortable life decisions and things that just happened in life, like going through a breakup after 7 years of being in a relationship. It was really scary to let go. It was extremely scary to let go of that. And then opening a business without any fucking clue what I was even doing, but my intuition was just telling me that's the right next step. And then diving into a new relationship, which honestly scared the shit out of me. But again, it turned out perfect. It turned out better than I could ever imagine. And then my partner and I lived in a car for 5 weeks in total, like in a tiny car. Oh my God, so many fears that I overcame. And then there were fears that were complex to my own mind, to my own psyche, and that were so contradictory to what I want to achieve. For example, I had a fear of my own power. I had a fear of success. So it's in a contradiction. You want success and you want these beautiful things to happen to you, but deep down subconsciously you have a block in form of a fear of actually achieving that thing. It kind of gets fucked up sometimes. And you gotta really dive deep into your subconscious mind to unblock yourself. That's exactly what we're gonna do today. We're gonna dive deep into the 95% of your subconscious mind. So imagine that your mind, your comfort zone, is made out of invisible border, but now we will make it visible. Imagine this border of your comfort zone is made out of blocks. Bricks, blocks. And you are in the middle of this comfort zone. And outside of the comfort zone is the version of yourself that you want to become. Is your dreams, is your higher self, however you want to call that. So you are inside of your comfort zone, and this comfort zone is made out of blocks. These blocks are blocks in your own subconscious mind. So these blocks may look like fear of judgment, people-pleasing, avoidance, guilt, shame, perfectionism. All of those things are keeping you in your comfort zone. What happens when you come close to a certain block? Fear arises. So why is fear your guide? Because fear literally shows you where are your blocks. And it is an opportunity. Every time fear arises, it's an opportunity to go through the block and unlock the block. Unlock the doors of your subconscious mind and expand. So, for example, let's say that you want to start talking in front of the camera and open a YouTube channel because that's been your dream. And now you can hear the voice in your head. But I'm not good enough. My videos are just not good enough. I don't like them. They look like shit. I just can't post this. You've come to the block of perfectionism. Because the only thing you gotta do is start. But your perfectionism is blocking you from even starting and putting your first video out. So you have an opportunity. You either go through the block and decide, I'm unlocking the doors, or you stay in your comfortable bubble. Now let's imagine that you don't want to open the doors and you say, oh, maybe next time I'm gonna do it. Okay. Life moves on and now you want to travel the world. You're afraid of that. And you think to yourself, I have no one to go with. I am afraid. Well, maybe next year, right? So you just close the door of expansion one more time. Life moves on. Let's say that maybe now you want to start doing photography and you want to post your work on, let's say, Instagram. But this voice comes again. I don't know what will people think about my pictures, Well, fear of judgment. That's your fear of judgment. It's another opportunity to unblock the doors. But you decide not to. So you bounce off that block and you go in another direction. You see what happens when you decide not to go through the doors. You keep looping endlessly in the constant circles of your own subconscious mind, and your life never changes. And the saddest part is that the majority of people today are looping constantly like this in their life, not even making the first step, not ever making a change, because they don't even realize, they are not even conscious that they are in the loop. Or maybe they are, but they're just like, no, that's too much work. And I think that's honestly so sad in today's world, that so few people actually go after what they want, and the majority of people just continues their lives looping, endlessly looping, never making a change, not a slightest change. And I think that's sad. So you could loop endlessly like this, because your fears and your coping mechanisms and limiting beliefs and all of those blocks that I mentioned before are stored in your subconscious mind. Now, I have a practice that I practiced a lot before and I'm still practicing, and this is a practice that honestly took me so far in life. I went so far, so much more further just because of this simple practice. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your journal. And in a previous video, I showed you how you can write your vision of your future, because if you don't have a clear goal of your future or something that is like shaping your reality and your lifestyle, then you don't know where you want to go. So after you write the vision of your future, you're going to make a list of your fears. Why? Because making a list of your fears is literally the first step towards facing your fears. Why? Because you're literally facing them in your journal. You write them down and you're literally facing them. So that's the first step. So you're gonna put all the distractions away. You're gonna put a timer or not, but dedicate a certain amount of time and write down the list of your fears. All the fears. Like, let your mind be wild and free and write down every single fear that you have. The tiniest ones, the biggest ones, as many fears as possible. Just write everything down. What this is gonna help you with is it's gonna bring what's in your subconscious mind to the surface. Because you may not even be aware of your blocks, but when you recognize where the fear is, you may ask a question if this helps you. Like, for every fear you write down, you can ask a question, okay, why is this fear here? When did this fear appear? because most of them will come from childhood. Most of the things, the blocks in your mind, limiting beliefs, coping mechanisms, traumas, they mostly developed in childhood. And you've been carrying them since you were a little kid. It's not only stored in the mind, it's also stored in the body. So, this is going to help you recognizing where the blocks are. And it's going to help you to guide you to achieve the vision of your future, because fear is your friend and fear is your guide. So when you go on and continue living your life, you will have those fears in your conscious mind now. They're not going to be in subconscious minds because you brought them to the surface and you literally face them. So you're going to continue your life. And now let's imagine scenarios from before. You now dedicate yourself to opening a YouTube channel. You want to start talking in front of the camera. And you still have the fear of perfectionism. You still have a fear of judgment. It's scary to talk in front of the camera. But now you know, because you wrote down, I have a fear of what people will think of me. I have a fear of sitting in front of the camera and talking to the camera. I have a fear that people will see something that's not perfect. But now you realize that the only doorway through your vision, through your higher self, is directly through that fear. And now you have the courage and strength to actually do it and overcome it, because you know why you're doing it. You're doing it for your future. You're doing it for your dreams. You're doing it for your vision. So congratulations. You overcame your first fears. Many fears. And then now you're not looping anymore. You start expanding. And this expansion is one of the most magnificent feelings on this planet Earth. I love the feeling of expansion. For my higher self, and my higher self is guiding me, and I'm trusting fully. And you surrender and you go travel for the first time alone. And now you are expanded. You learned so much on the trip. You saw the world. You met new people. You know how much it changes you. You know how much that little action and decision to go directly through the fear changes you. It expands you fucking fast. It's a miracle. It's a literal miracle. So now you know what to do. You have a list of your fears. You go through life and consciously going through your fears in order to achieve the higher version of yourself and bring your dreams into reality, because they are real. There is one thing that is left, and that is letting go. Letting go is probably one of the hardest lessons of my life. I firstly learned it the hard way. It was during a breakup. I realized how much attached I was actually. And for the first time, I truly learned how to let go. It was the hardest lesson of my life, and this lesson is always, always, always behind me. It's always somewhere near, and it's always from the beginning. I always have to learn this lesson from the beginning, because it's one of the hardest lessons, one of the biggest lessons of my life. And I think life will always give you something to let go of. You will always have to let go of something, and it's scary. That's the thing. You are actually afraid to let go of something. You may not even be aware of it, but your fear lays in letting go. And what we said about fears, fear is your guide, where you gotta go. So if you're afraid of letting go, it's exactly what you gotta do. You gotta let go. Let go of what? There are many things in life that may keeping you in the loop. It may be a relationship that once served you, but now it's not anymore. It may be your old job, the same way. It served you once, but now it just doesn't resonate. There are better things to do in life. It may be your emotions and feelings, because sometimes we are not letting go of what we gotta let go of internally through the body. The body is as important as the mind. I always say that. Mind-body connection. Because some things gotta be felt. Some things you gotta cry out. Some things you gotta express. You gotta express your anger in a healthy way. There are things that must be let go through the body alone. Those are feelings, those are emotions. Maybe you are attached to your old identity. You cannot become the new version of yourself if you are holding on to the identity of your past. It's not possible. Because on the one side, you have this vision of your future that you want to move towards. On its way, there are blocks stored in your mind where fear helps you. You write down the list of fears. You know that you have to go through the blocks of your mind in order to achieve the higher version of yourself. But there is also this thing, letting go on this side. Because you can't be pulling in that way when something is holding you here. You cannot be pulling in that way if something is holding you here. You gotta let go in order to fully flow. You get it? If you're holding on to an old relationship, but you have this vision of your future and person you want to become, you cannot become that person if this relationship doesn't support that vision. It's not possible. The same with the job, the same with old ideas, the same with your identity, your location. And the interesting thing is that sometimes it's your own vision that you will have to let go of. Because visions change. And please, 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 let them change. Let them change completely. Let them change fully, because the number one, the most important thing in life is surrendering to the current, is surrendering to the flow, is surrendering to the present moment. And from the state of present moment, create. And if something is asking you to let go of this vision, because this vision that you once had is no longer supporting you, let that vision go and write a new one. They are supposed to change. You are supposed to change. So your visions change with you. Your whole life changes with you, and change is beautiful. We must adapt, yes, but that is where surrendering comes. I can talk and talk and talk, but life's number one lesson is always surrendering to the present moment. It's always surrendering to this eternal now, to this current, to this flow. You will flow completely if you can let go, and if you have this vision of your higher self, you will completely flow. Okay? Thank you so much for being here. I think I said everything that I wanted to say. No, one last question. So you will grab your journal and you will write down a question. What do I have to let go of in order to become the next version of myself? What do I have to let go of in order to become the next version of myself? It can be a mental thing. It can be a physical thing. It can be a mental thing like, I gotta let go of my attachment to the idea I had previously, or I gotta let go of this limiting belief that is holding me back. I gotta let go of limiting belief that I'm not worthy of receiving my vision. That's a mental let go. Then there can be a physical let go. Maybe you gotta let go of a job. Maybe you gotta let go of a relationship. Some physical life decisions. And then maybe you will have to let go emotionally. Maybe you gotta cry it out. Maybe you haven't cried for some time. I know a lot of people that are holding a lot, and what they need the most is a safe space to express it. So if you can make a safe self, if you can make some safe space for yourself, or go to a person you trust, cry it out, ask them if they can hold space for you to cry it out. Or maybe you have to release the anger. Don't throw it on the people, but you can go in nature. You can scream it out. You can take a stick. You can literally take a stick in nature and throw it into the ground, scream as hard as you can, and let your anger out. I do it. Okay? It's healthy. You gotta let the things out of yourself. You gotta empty yourself. You gotta let go. I go into the forest and I do what I gotta do. I scream, I cry, I hug the trees. So that's your final question. What do I have to let go of in order to become the next version of myself? So, yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching this video and being here with me and learning and growing. We are growing together as a little community. And I love that. I love that, to be a support for you. And you are a support for me because I'm learning commitment through these YouTube videos. So it's a beautiful little community. It's a beautiful relationship between us all. So thank you so much. See you in the next video. Until then, you can like, subscribe, comment, subscribe to the newsletter. You have a written version of this video there. I will leave the link in description. If you want to support me, you can buy my art prints. You can put them in your journal, on the wall, as a reminder of this beautiful divine energy that you are. And if you want to see more, you can follow me on my Instagram. So until next time, I love you so much, and surrender. Surrender. That's the word.